Netflix's remake of Avatar: The Last Airbender came out, and it is kind of bad. I would say that I wasn't surprised that it was going to be like that, but the first trailer really hypnotized me into thinking that Netflix will finally give us a good remake of one of the best shows of all time. Also, was coming back of one of the worst movies of all time. Avatar is just one of those shows where I think that live action just isn't for them. We've already seen one attempt fall flat and the next one still fell. Not as hard as a movie, but you know, it still fell a couple story times. While I was looking for videos on the show, I came across this video by 24 Friends of Nick, in which he discusses the many problems with the Netflix version. And in this discussion, he brings up why Avatar just can't be done in live action. And that got me thinking, has any Atla media, parody or remake, been good? No! Is Avatar truly impossible to adapt? And with all that 10-minute of research that I did, I found something that was actually pretty good.
Boxing, weaving, sneaking, shooting.
Yeah, I know I got your hopes up, thinking that you were going to see some fucking unknown entry, but I promise you it's good.
Liar! Whoa, hey!
Avatar: The Last Hoodbender is a parody series made by RDC with a simple question. What if Aang was about that life? I know it's a parody and not an adaptation, and I'm not gonna lie, I had no other way of bringing up the Hood Avatar. You technically have been clickbaited. However, would you say if I said that this miniseries was better than both live action movie and TV shows while having the budget of buttons and strings? I genuinely think that Hood Avatar is more enjoyable than the Netflix show. You can say there's bias and spite towards my feelings with the show, and I can't conform or deny that, but besides the comic that barely anyone reads, many people have been thirsting for decent Avatar content in one way or another, and I think that this is that Avatar content. Me being for real though, this video was just an appreciation for the series and to hopefully get it back up again, because RDC is like Netflix in a way, because they're leaving the best series in the dirt. But before the next episode comes out in probably in a couple years, I want to analyze this series as being a genuinely decent miniseries. Avatar: The Last Hoodbender is made by a YouTube group named RDC. RDC is a group channel that makes funny skits and parody videos, and 7 years ago, they uploaded the first episode. I don't think it was supposed to be a full-out series when it first came out, but it turned from a funny parody to their best written series. So let's start from the first episode. The first thing you learn in the intro is that Aang in this version is named Mark. And Mark has some similarities and conflicts that Aang has. In the show, Aang is overwhelmed by his status as the new Avatar, and when he's told to train in the Eastern Air Temple away from his trainer, he runs away. In this version, Mark is already an experienced Avatar, but he decided that he didn't like life in the hood and didn't want to be the Avatar in the first place. So he left and moved to the suburbs. The 4 leaders of the hood, being boxing, weaving, sneaking, and shooting, found him and challenged him to an Agni Kai. Before they fight, Mark finds out that the leaders have been holding a grudge against him for leaving them in the hood, and says that the Sneaking Nation is putting the hood off balance, so they need the Avatar. And even though Mark doesn't want to help initially and wants to stay in the suburbs, the Sneaking Nation is starting fights across nations, and is starting to get so violent that it's affecting the leaders.
Fucking the shooting nation out here doing drive-bys and shit. My daughter can't even go outside. I can't eat.
I'm sick of worrying about the government. I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
Coincidence? I think not.
Before he can confront the Sneaking Nation leader, he tries to sneak Mark only to get blocked. He then tells Mark that the Shooting Nation leader was behind all the violence. He then stops Desmond before taking his bending away. The rest of the series gets a lot more complex for the series as a general, but also for Mark's character. In the original show, Aang didn't want to hurt anyone.
And I've certainly never used it to take a life.
He was a natural pacifist, being obvious as being raised by monks. It was also a huge plot point in the final season when Aang was being told by everyone that he has to kill the Fire Lord in order to win the war. But he still wanted to find a way, but he didn't kill Ozai, but he stopped the war. And Mark has the same internal conflict when thinking about how to stop the war. All the leaders want Mark to kill Desmond and his crew to stop the war, but Mark believes that adding on to violence just brings more violence, and stopping things peacefully is the best way possible. He believes this even when every other character is telling him otherwise. until Desmond kills his niece. He then has to deal with his old side and wanting revenge against Desmond. He has a nightmare of him killing Desmond with ease. This also includes Desmond killing innocent people in the hood until he gets his powers back. He tried, argued, and fought dozens of people to try to stop Desmond without violence. But when his niece died and he wasn't getting any closer to stopping Desmond, he considered killing him. Even when he talked to the previous Avatar who did go through with killing someone, he told him you either have to kill Desmond or you die, and he still chooses to spare him. However, one thing I'm confused about is that after Mark chooses not to kill Desmond, we jump 1 year later. So that means that the leaders in the Avatar just sat there and did nothing while gang violence was happening for like a year. But one thing I do like is that during that episode when Mark chooses to act peacefully instead of revenge, we get introduced to the opposite of that when we meet John John. I love you, John John. Please don't find my family and beat up my pitbull. My whole community loves John John. John John is introduced as a character that acts how Mark would have acted if he decided to go through with his revenge plan. He was pressed by the Shooting Nation and shot in his mouth for not knowing what the Avatar was. His hood then decides to side with the Shooting Nation and will kill the Avatar if he pulls up to save their life. John John is like at the front. He's protecting his people from the war that would never happen if Mark never left the hood. And that's another thing I find interesting about the hood Avatar. He constantly has to hear that his selfish action to leave the hood had killed many people. And while it's inherently selfish to run away, he also has a reasonable argument of why he did it. His friends was dying left and right and he was rightfully being traumatized. He wanted to move out of that environment because he wanted to, and it's reasonable to get out the hood because of violence. In the beginning, he knew it was selfish but didn't admit that it was wrong.
Nigga, sometimes you gotta be selfish. Get your life together, move out the hood. Then come back and get your family and move them out the hood.
Should I tone it down so you can keep up, monkey? What's wrong, monkey? Check up. Didn't you just say no more points, monkey? Is this game really that complex for you, monkey?
That's gotta be racist.
Until he realizes the toll he has in the hood and the overwhelming responsibility of being the hood Avatar. Until then does he apologize to John John for his decision and promises to restore balance. If you didn't get it by now, this series had a lot of commentary on gang violence and the generational trauma that comes with it. Mark wants to change the way things are in the hood right now. He wants people to look after each other, to stop killing each other, and to make it out the hood. But many people don't see it that way, so it gets outcasted and his ideas are made fun of or told are impossible because of the generations of violence. But some people just don't want change. They don't want the hood to be balanced at all. They just want to be violent. And that person is Desmond. Desmond is the leader of the Shooting Nation and is the main villain. He is a ruthless villain who only cares about his goals first and the hood second. He was jealous that Mark was a hood Avatar instead of him because he thinks that he's more hood than him and he feels like he deserves it. He doesn't believe the hood can be restored and he goes great lengths to prove that. He kills innocent people every day to stir up more violence. He tells Mark that no one in the hood is truly loyal and proves it by having people in the other nations snitch on where they at and by killing them even after promising their freedom. What I like about Desmond's character the most though is he constantly tries to prove Mark's idea of change wrong. When he had them at gunpoint, instead of shooting him right away, he took the time explaining that the people in the hood just don't want change. Desmond is also very smart. He always has a backup plan for the Avatar every time they meet because he admits that he can't beat him by himself. He blackmails him by threatening his family in order to give him his powers back and almost kill the other 3 nation leaders. I also think he's the strongest leader in general, because Mark mops the floor with the other leaders in a 1v3, but he couldn't really hit Desmond. Desmond proves himself right about people not being loyal when he brought Dylan on his side. Dylan was working with Desmond in the beginning, but for some reason it isn't explained of why he even listened to Desmond. After all, his nation technically started the whole war in the first place. But when he joined Mark's side, he didn't agree with his idea of change completely. He also found Mark a hypocrite when he wanted to kill Desmond after he murdered his niece. Not only does this go against his peace idea, but Mark didn't take the war that seriously until his niece got shot. There could be an extra reason of why Dylan went with Desmond, but I think this makes the most sense. This thing of Desmond having a lot of followers is threatening to Mark, but could also be his weakness, as he said himself, no one is truly loyal. So someone betraying him in the future isn't impossible. I think I like Desmond the most because of his ruthlessness. Shooting Nation, man, woman, or child, he has no regard for human life.
And by the way, I think I heard cartoons. Kill everybody in the house and burn it.
Man, that's messed up.
This collides with his characteristics. It's kinda smart because it has no loose ends like when he killed the snitches, and it adds to his selfishness. He doesn't care about the lives being lost through violence and actually enjoys it. He only cares about becoming more powerful and becoming the Avatar. That makes him for a very hateable villain and a good foil for Mark. I wish I had more to say, but the last episode was 2 years ago. So before I end this video, I want to give some suggestions on some characters who I think are underused. We need to buff the leaders because they lose a lot of fights, especially Ben. Ben flips on we need to go to war right now or being extremely cautious when people who he should be able to beat. I don't know what to do with Ben's character, but I have some ideas that might work. Since Ben seems timid when it comes to this, he should have an arc over proving to himself that he is the Boxing Nation leader. Or Ben can go the Dylan route and join Desmond's side. Ben always argues with Mark, so I wouldn't be surprised if he joined Desmond. If Ben actually went that route, I think that Leland should stay with Mark until the very end. During the series, Desmond is doing a lot to prove Mark wrong, and Mark also needs to prove not only the Hood, but Desmond wrong. One thing he can't prove wrong if Leland decides to stay with Mark after all the other leaders left, because he's been the realist time and time again. He's the one who mostly agrees with Mark and always sides with him. This will prove that Desmond's idea that people aren't loyal isn't true. Also, he has the best monologues after Mark.
We can't trust nobody no more. Fucking the shooting nation out here doing drive-bys and shit. My daughter can't even go outside. We need, I can't eat.
And don't nobody give a fuck about the hood. The white niggas don't give a fuck about the hood. It's the hood. We all we got on, so we gotta take care of us.
This series has a lot of potential. If RDC really wants to become bigger and take projects more seriously, I think that they should use it on Avatar because writing wise, I think Hood Avatar is the best one. Anime House is more funny and entertaining and have better CGI, but Avatar just has something special, and we need something after that fucking Netflix show. That's basically all I have to say. Sorry for the weird topic, and sorry I have been gone for 6 months. I was doing school for a while, but once I was done, I just didn't feel like making any videos. But I'm back now and I have some ideas. I'm still making the Dragon Ball video, it's just taking really long. It will probably be my longest video yet. I'm working on another horror game video, so stay tuned if you subscribe for that. Subscribe right now if you like this video and comment down below some ideas for me to talk about because besides those two, I am pretty dry. My work is done, I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Momo, did you hear something?